he's done after this match. But I mean, that's you say that is one of the guys where they are definitely abusing him. I mean, that's a character that he should be upholding the world title.
Yes,
and he keeps getting himself injured. But Orton is young enough where he should be that guy on the on the stool right now.
Now, does he keep getting himself injured, or is he being injured? In other
I don't
words,
know.
Like,
All I know is
him in situations where he's going to get injured.
He comes back, gets hurt, comes back, gets hurt, but he should definitely be up there on that stool. One of my other favorites, and they destroyed him. Destroyed him. And when he came into the WWE, everybody looked at him and joked and said, "Oh, he's a Power Ranger. He's got a stupid looking gimmick."
MVP.
MVP was awesome. There's a big no. He was not. He was a great wrestler that they could have done something with.
I had trouble.
And they didn't.
I couldn't get. With all due respect, I could not get by his gimmick. I just couldn't.
That was just it.
The
gimmick was so terrible.
That's what you call mismanagement of WWE. The guy is an outstanding wrestler.
Yeah, he had the talent and the moves, but the gimmick was so distracting and so terrible that you're like, oh, let's
instead
just forget
of
about him.
repackaging him,
away.
they let him go away. And now he's floating around in some local federation.
He's in limbo land,
and,
not making any money.
No, he's not. And he's one of those guys that I thought should have made it. One of my other favorites that should have, would have, and didn't was Mr. Kennedy. Awesome wrestler, awesome on the mic skills. Should have made it.
Pretty obnoxious on the mic, but that was his gimmick.
He
wasn't smart enough to copyright his own name and had to do the same gimmick as a different name.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, lesson to all you would-be stars out there. Yes, copyright your character. Yeah. But yeah, no, you're right. Mr. Kennedy, he was good on the mic. He was,
and he was good in the ring. He was entertaining. And it was something new and fresh. And he
always had that mic dropped from.
He went the way Chris Candido did. No one cares where he's at. He's in limbo.
He's gone.
No one cares.
Yeah, that's just, what's his real life what's his outside the ring name?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of his real name. Maniac Mike would shoot me. He knows his real name. But I don't follow a lot of the wrestlers by their real name. I'm not that big.
I'm just curious. But, TNA did that a lot. I mean, they had talent dropped into their laps. And I think we were talking off mic about this earlier. Yeah, they had... I mean, I think Bobby Roode was...
The Cowboy himself was good,
and then what's his name? The Cowboy. Yeah, it was part of the tag team. Bobby Roode's tag team partner. Yeah.
And there was so many of those X Division guys that were really, really good. And
Austin Aries.
Yeah, and they went nowhere.
I mean, Austin Aries. Now granted, yes, Vince McMahon has this yardstick and this scale, that he judges guys on, but Austin Aries could have, he could have been a big. If CM Punk can be a big name, Austin Aries can be a big name.
Yep. One of our favorite tag teams, the Motor City Machine Guns. Those guys were an incredible tag team, but they weren't tall enough to get into the WWE, I guess, and they fizzled out down there.
They had a really cool gimmick, and
they were fun to watch to see those guys fly.
That's one thing. I mean, I know exactly what you mean. They never had no matter who they wrestled. Now, some guys, it depends on who their opponent is, and they count on them to make them look good. Those guys, no matter who,
they made themselves look good.
They never had a boring match.
No.
Yeah, the Motor City Machine Guns, and actually, with TNA for a while was developing tag teams down there.
Some really good ones too, and then they just went. And another one that really, the Fallen Angel. That guy is outstanding.
Yes.
And I don't understand why the WWE keeps pushing him off and saying no. Because he's a better wrestler.
Yes.
He's a better wrestler than AJ Styles. I know some people out there are going to slap me for saying that, but he is.
He's much better.
And they won't give him the shot.
Yeah, and he was tag teamed with
AJ
Kazarian.
a lot and Kazarian.
And Kazarian, down up until recently in Ring of Honor, they were a great tag team. Yeah, Chris Daniels and Kazarian. And speaking of Kazarian, right? There's another one. I don't know. There's just no explaining it other than self-serving interest. Wanting to keep your lazy, overaged self at the top instead of giving the up-and-coming guys a chance. That's the only explanation there is.
What's the recent one that you and I like? Ryback.
I love
the guy's
Ryback.
got a good gimmick. He can move in the ring for a big guy.
I mean, he looks like a brick, but he can move.
And they won't get him out of that mid-Carter range. They just keep, they give him the IC belt and they take it away. Right away.
He could hold a belt without a problem.
Well, that's another thing. I'll probably be at variance with a lot of people. both in wrestling, But to me, one of the mistakes that whether it's WWE, all the wrestling organizations make these days, is they don't let people hold on to the belt.
No, especially the new guys. They give it to them for a month or two.
Yeah, it's kind of like they give you the belt as, okay, it's a pat on the back for doing a good job, doing good work for the last 6 months.
Shut up and hit the locker room.
Right, and then they give it to the next guy.
Yeah, or they give it back to the same guy that's been holding it on and off.
Right, but it's on and off. In other words, they don't use it as a tool to put a wrestler over.
Nope.
And that's different than the old days too. I remember back in, now you don't have to go to this extreme, but I remember back in the legend days of WWF, even if you want to go, if anyone can remember that far back except me, but I am a wrestling historian among other things. Bruno Sammartino was the first let's just say WWF champion, and he held the belt in his first run for 8 years.
Wow.
8 years.
Damn.
Without a break.
Jeez.
Now, the only thing that broke was him. At the end of 8 years, they had, let's send him to the hospital.
Yeah,
now,
he's done.
Well, it wasn't as bad as it sounds, though, because back then, we didn't have cable television.
They didn't have matches
they
every
weren't
other night.
Brutalizing each other as much either.
Right, which is another...
They didn't need to for the entertainment.
It's another another advantage they had back then is that when the champion came to town, it was an occasion.
Yeah.
In other words, you could go literally like 3 or 4 months without seeing Bruno Sammartino on our WWF show.
Yeah, and everyone was fine with it.
Well, they weren't. Not only were they fine with it, but it was build up.
Yeah.
In other words, they would start a storyline, with, let's say, Captain Lou Albano was his arch enemy, and they would start a storyline months in advance, build up his opponent.
Yeah.
Start with the scrubs, build them up through the mid cards. By the time you had the match with Bruno Sammartino, that opponent was, we're talking about the Bobby Duncans of the world, the Stan Hansens of the world, the Ken Pateras. That opponent was ready to hold his half of the championship match. And it was an event. It was like once a year, there was an event at Madison Square Garden with all the excitement of, let's say, Hulk Hogan against Andre the Giant. And that happened once a year because they didn't overexpose the champion, and they used, and I think it could still be done even in this day and age. In other words, you make the belt matter.
Yeah,
in
instead of just being an attaboy thing.
Yeah, I don't care what Vince McMahon says. Okay, it's in other words, even now, you could make the belt matter by letting a guy hold it and defend it for an extended period of time.
They did that. They did that recently, and everybody bitched.
How long did they hold it?
Brock Lesnar almost had that thing for a full year.
Well, Brock Lesnar was the wrong guy.
Yeah, but they still did that formula. They would still build up the character, and Brock would only show up at main events where it mattered, not these little pay-per-views that were held in some Timbuktu area.
And people were upset
and
that
people
he
were
wasn't
upset
a fighting champion.
that he wasn't fighting and showing up. And they were doing that formula where they were building the wrestler up to fight him and making it so that when he showed up, that title mattered.
Well, I think that's a case where that's why sometimes I object to this idea of, like, in movies, they have these focus groups now. The director finishes shooting his movie, and then they put it in front of a focus group, and then the focus group gets to tell the director whether to change it.
Yeah.
This situation here with Brock Lesnar, I think, was a case of management should not have listened to the fans. I mean, either Brock Lesnar, and I don't think Brock Lesnar was exactly the right guy to do it. It should have been a new face that they gave this build up to, but it's a case of don't always listen to the fans. We don't always know what we want.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to see what would happen if you had somebody of the status of a young, let's say a young Randy Orton, give him the belt for 1 or 2 years, see what happens. Anyway, all right, let's get out of here. Tony tells me we only got 5 minutes left. Time once again has vanished. All right, this time we're going to. Last week I think we left off with Motorhead doing rock and roll, and we only got about a minute of the song in. Let's put it on right now. I want to get the whole thing. I want to get through the whole song this time. It's disrespectful to do anything else 2 weeks in a row to Motorhead. All right, so we're out of here. This is The Haunted Cabaret, George Garner, Chuckles, Nurse Misery, Tony Jones, signing off. Let me take over on Rhode Island Free Radio.
looks like gas, and you like all the rest. Guess I can handle it, and that's the way it is. I'm in love with rock and roll. It satisfies my soul. That's how it has to be. I won't get mad. I got rock and roll to save me from the cold. And if that's all there is, it ain't so bad. Rock and roll. I've never been the one to have no steady girl.